Hello, uh, this is Ranadheer. This is my presentation regarding lead a class discussion. Today I'll be presenting my evaluation for a fellow student video called his assignment called Marketplace Morality by Ben Anderson. Um, Firstly, I congratulate and appreciate. It's really a good, short, crisp video. It was point to point, and it conveys the message of morality in today's business world. There are really interesting points made, especially examples of all scenarios. Nike for sweatshop, and Starbucks for environmental purposes, and Pepsi. These are really, really good examples in today's world. Um, there are like couple of mentionings about what strategies they are adopting to make environment safe, which is also a really good point. Uh, I really second that. And uh, the practices overall business are adopting in terms of being ethical and also not compromising on profits. And when they have to choose between profits and ethics, this is a very, very valid argument presented by Ben, which is really a good point. There are a couple of comments based on my understanding and my reading about these examples. Yes, firstly, ethics versus profits. I don't think any business who really wants to be in the long term game would want to or willingly do anything to be unethical. I think more of these scenarios are more accidental than planned. So companies are presented with a situation where they have to conflict these kind of challenges, where they have to be ethical and at the same time not to take hit on their profits. So one fundamental point, most civilian people, I would say, who are the consumers, who don't see the world the way business see the world, is like profits are their lifeline. Profit is their way of survival. It's like their oxygen. uh, while it is easy to question an organization on how ethical they are, how ethical their practices are, or how much they are ready to compromise on the ethics or the societal or corporate societal responsibilities. At the same time, profits are the oxygen for this organization. So this is not as easy an issue as consumers think it is. It is quite a challenging task for any CEO of mid-level to senior Fortune 500 companies to make such kind of decisions, because there is a stiff competition out there who is planning, who or she who who is planning to make them or pull out them out of business. So it's actually a 24/7 game. So it is very important to understand the challenges each businesses face, why profits are important. However, at the same time, businesses, I don't think they really want to compromise on ethics at the cost of people's labor or people's sweat. However, unfortunately, they are landing. They were landing into this kind of situations, and they kind of do a course correction. That's how it becomes a news, and then it becomes a situation to be mitigated. In the first example of Nike, there are a couple of interviews. Nike CEO Phil Knight himself mentioned why these kind of issues occur. So we are actually talking about a very important point. It's more about globalization. What is globalization? So Nike adopted globalization way before term globalization was framed. So there was no framework for globalization at that point of time. So the innovation Nike was bringing in is like to bring bring innovation in terms of saving the cost and in terms of saving the money, and bring the quality for the target audience in the United States. So they were admitting that Nike management was not aware of not aware of the practices being followed. See, one important point we have to understand is like the rules, the labor rules and the regulations are not same across the world. So which means what might be right here in United States may not be right across the Atlantic, or it may not be right as right as it is here. So the biggest challenge with morality ethics is like it's quite region specific, it's quite individual specific, some of the cases, and they cannot have a one size fits all policy. uh, let's say $20 is a basic rate, minimum wage here in United States. uh, the countries, let's say Taiwan, let's say Indonesia, where sweatshops were prevalent, uh, their GDP itself is not to an extent of $20 per hour. So there we cannot have the same rules applied. However, at the same time, 20 cents is really inhuman. And the outsourcer, Nike was outsourcing to somebody else in the respective country, and the practices were followed by that particular vendor. And as per contractual agreements, Nike doesn't really had any say into how the vendor operates his business, and that's a revolution, I think. After that sweatshop episode has uh, come up, uh, organizations have become more averse and more insightful about how vendor does their business, even in the other countries. If there is no exploitation of human labor and all, I think there would be somebody who has to start this kind of innovation and practice, and there would be cons. Nike might be one of the cases which was wrong, uh, wrongly placed at wrong time of the globalization. At the same time, as I mentioned, uh, there is a good evaluation of ethics versus profits. I mean, the recent it would have been good had recent episodes of Facebook or social media were mentioned. Uh, nobody anticipated that Facebook or a social media company would share the data, or how the vendor uses the data, like Cambridge Analytica, right? So they have used it for different purposes, for election maneuvering purposes, which Facebook is unaware of. They were like sharing the data, but Facebook runs on data. So we have to understand there is a thin line between ethics and profits, and no organization willingly gets into this situation where they would willingly compromise on ethics. However, there would be a situation where they unknowingly get into a situation and they do a course correction, and they get a lot of public attention, and they kind of try to mitigate the situation. Having said that, these are my comments about morality and market and profits, how an organization handles. But I really appreciate, this is a really good video by Ben, and a couple of key points were really very specific. It would have been better if more examples were considered, and why businesses really make such kind of decisions. Some more references would have been really good and helpful. Hopefully, in future it would contain more references. Thank you.